Hamburger with a pickle on top makes your heart go flippity-flop.
Ow! Isn't there like a little thing at the end of it?
I don't know, there's something. Woo! That's not it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of the Mark Rodney Show. I am Ethan, and we have
I'm Brody.
Brody here, and we thought it'd be fun to kick off this episode with a quick little game. Our Oscar nominations. The Oscars are coming up. Who we think we are going to be in 5 specific categories.
And this is the fun part about this game for us is that I think I've seen just a small handful of these movies, and I think Ethan's maybe seen
Probably less.
Yeah. So this is a fun game for us. I say we bet next time we're both in Lima, whoever gets the most nominations right gets the other Cupie.
Okay. Cupie. I can get on board with some Cupie.
Cupie is a local place, by the way, in Lima, Ohio.
If you're not familiar with Cupie,
good hamburger. We're not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Come to Cupie. Come to Lima and get some Cupie.
But Cupie's great.
Okay. So kick us off with what category we're going to start with.
So we're just going to do let's be honest. We're going to do the categories that most people care about or hear about the day after the Oscars. Not that they're not all important, but we're going to do Best Actor,
okay,
Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Picture. So let's start with Best Actor. You've got Paul Giamatti, Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. Paul Giamatti was in The Holdovers. Cooper was in Maestro. Coleman Domingo, he was in some kind of biopic that I don't remember the name of. He's not getting my vote, so it doesn't matter. Cillian Murphy was Oppenheimer, obviously, and Jeffrey Wright was in American Fiction, which I just saw recently and is amazing. Now, I think Cillian Murphy is going to win.
Yeah.
Are we going to have the same on this one?
Yeah,
and it's not just because Oppenheimer is one of the movies I've seen.
It's hard not to go with that one. I'll pick a different one just for the wager's sake. I'm going to go Jeffrey Wright. I've not seen that specific picture, but he is an incredible actor in other things. So.
I hope it's him. That's what it differs. I loved that movie, and I love Jeffrey Wright in it. I hope he wins.
But you think Cillian's going to win?
But I think Cillian Murphy's going to win, which also good for Cillian. Yeah. I also love Cillian Murphy, and Oppenheimer's great. So let's do Best Actress. So we've got Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, Annette Bening, Carey Mulligan, and Sandra Hüller, if I'm saying that right. I'm not familiar with Sandra. I know the others. So Emma Stone was in Poor Things, if you remember seeing advertisements for that film, a very artsy, great performance is what I'm hearing. I haven't seen it. Lily Gladstone was in Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio. Everybody's talking about her.
Yeah.
Everyone's basically saying, from what I've heard, it's between Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Lily Gladstone. I'm picking it because it was a more influential role. Emma Stone did a great job. I don't think it has to do with talent. I think they're both equally talented.
Right.
But Lily Gladstone was in a more powerful role. Mm-hmm. And also Emma Stone won the Oscar for Best Actress for La La Land just a few years ago.
Dang.
So I think they're going to have a hard time. Everyone's going to say they snubbed Lily Gladstone if Emma Stone wins. Even though they're both very worthy of
Okay, well, I'll take Emma Stone. I know that it was kind of a unique role for her to play. The whole movie was very unique. So, again, I haven't seen the whole movie, but I've seen interviews and stuff. So I'll take Emma Stone just to be the contrarian here.
And then let's go down and look at supporting here. So for Best Supporting Actor, you got Mark Ruffalo, who's also in Poor Things.
Yep.
Yeah. Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon. Downey Jr., who I just love RDJ. He's my pick, by the way.
Dang.
RDJ was in Oppenheimer. You can pick the same one as me. Sterling K. Brown was in American Fiction, and Ryan Gosling obviously was in Barbie.
This one is tough. I love all of these actors.
They're great. I actually know all of these guys.
I know all of them.
And they're fantastic. Sterling K. Brown gives an amazing performance in American Fiction as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Gosling, obviously, we all love Ken. De Niro never misses. I mean, he's at the Oscars every year.
I was gonna say
Ruffalo steps outside of his comfort zone. I watched an actor on actor.
Yeah,
interview.
with RDJ and Ruffalo.
I think maybe it was them, and they had a really great discussion about it.
Which those are really great interviews if you want to check them out. If you're looking for more of this kind of content,
like
definitely
actor
check
or
out
film
Variety
based.
Fairs.
I think Variety, yeah.
Okay, so you said RDJ.
Yes, I'm gonna pick RDJ. He's just the favorite. Even Sterling K. Brown said, "I know I'm gonna lose to RDJ this year, and I'm okay with that."
Yeah,
you can pick the same one. You don't have to keep picking something different.
I feel like he's gonna win, but again, I like having a different approach here. So I'm gonna go.
I think Ruffalo's your safe bet. I don't know. You could don't have to, but Sam Rockwell is in favor of Ruffalo getting some love.
De Niro's one of my all-time favorite actors.
He's amazing. He never misses. Yeah, he never misses.
But I don't know what
except
film
for Bad
specifically.
Grandpa. What is no?
I went with the
Dirty Grandpa.
Poor Things actor for the last one, so I'm going to change it up for this one. I'm going to go De Niro.
Okay, Killers of the Flower Moon, which never a bad pick there. Okay, Best Supporting Actress. Okay, we have America Ferrera, who was in Barbie. Danielle Brooks, Divine Joy Randolph, Emily Blunt, and Jodie Foster.
Dibs on America Ferrera.
It's all right.
Yep.
There you go for Best Supporting Actress in Barbie.
And Barbie, yep.
I'm going to go with, I think Divine won at the Golden Globes. I could be wrong. I think I'm saying her name right. I'm not familiar with her work. So
sipping on my Kewpie drink.
Danielle Brooks, Emily Blunt, and Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster, I don't think has been at the Oscars in a long time. Something makes me think I want Jodie Foster, who talks weird, and she's like the female Nicolas Cage, to win the Oscar just because it's so funny she's there. Not in like a rude way, just like Jodie Foster is like an icon. I don't know.
Okay, thanks for your sidebar here.
I know, I'm sorry. I got really distracted. I didn't know Jodie Foster was nominated.
Place your bet.
Emily Blunt.
Okay. Emily Blunt.
I'm going to take Emily Blunt. This is the one I'm least confident about.
Okay.
Let's go back up. Best Picture. We're ending on Best Picture. This is the big one. Got The Holdovers, American Fiction, Zone of Interest, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Past Lives, which made a huge impact, Anatomy of a Fall, Maestro, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Interesting, Maestro is kind of the villain of this year's Oscars. As in, people have been saying, now I think it's a little unfair in my opinion, but they're like, oh, it's Oscar bait, and like Bradley Cooper is a tryhard, and yeah, like he worked for like 6 years to learn how to like conduct properly, and like he's a conductor. He went full put everything into it, and because he tried so hard and like they felt like it was just to get at the Oscars, they don't want him to win, which I'm like, I kind of have a hard time with that because I believe in hard work and like dedication, and like he's just going after something he really cares about. But it's definitely been the villain of the Oscars this year.
So what's your bet?
Once again, I want American Fiction to win. I'm really glad that they made it to the Oscars. They were like right at the edge in terms of like release date wise of like being able to get in. I just love the movie. I think it's a really great concept, and I love how much love it's getting. But I think that Oppenheimer is going to win.
Really?
I do. I think Oppenheimer has a chance of getting Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actor this year.
Sweeping the floor. Wow. I'm going to go Barbie.
Wow. Woo!
I'm going to go Barbie just because I feel like it was one of the most
cultural impactful
movies.
Yeah. That's why it's there.
Even though it was like so, like there were a lot of other heavier movies and like with deeper. No, I don't even think that's fair to say. Barbie was like.
It's okay. Other movies that had more traditional visions of deep storytelling.
Yeah.
Barbie is Barbie. It was advertised to be a lot of fun, and then they snuck in
but it hits you.
But then they snuck in a very impactful message.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. All right. Well, we picked Barbie and Oppenheimer.
There's our predictions. We'll see. We'll keep you updated who won.
Yeah.
And,
anyway, we just thought that would be fun.
Who gets Kewpie?
Who gets Kewpie? Yeah, the big bet. But yeah, we'll check back in after the Oscars. The next podcast we do following the Oscars, we will see who won the bet.
To take place at Kewpie? That would be fun.
That would actually be great. Maybe we would do the podcast at Kewpie.
Okay,
let's move. Let's move into the next segment.
Our topic. Thanks for tagging with us as we played that little game there. Our topic for today, we want to talk about how to make it in the industry, in the filmmaking industry.
Because we totally know how to. We don't.
We don't.
We have no idea, but we've been exploring it.
Right. So we're going to talk about a little bit of what we have been discovering, what we've been learning, some trends that I think that we're seeing to take place, and then I think to kind of round out the episode where we see ourselves getting into.
The truth is, there really is no one way to do it.
Right.
There isn't. I mean,
way to just spoil the episode.
People, we're going to discuss many, many ways because, and encourage people, invent your own way, like all that stuff. But so I just say that to say, when we say non-traditional, when we say traditional, it's not like there is one way to traditionally do it. There is things that are considered more traditional.
Yeah.
And there are things that are considered more non-traditional. And we're going to talk about those things.
So, I mean, you went to film school and,
I went to Huntington University to study film, which
there's
I feel like we've said film school a few times. I just want to make sure people don't think I went to like Full Sail universities. Like they have schools that are just dedicated to that.
To filmmaking.
But yes. Yeah.
So, in your understanding, what would you identify and classify as like the typical traditional. I'm going to use the word traditional, but like what most people would probably, what path would they take to become a filmmaker?
Yeah. I think
like on a big scale, like for movies.
Yeah. You want to make movies. You want to the first step for most people is move. Like before you do anything else, just like, all right, go to Hollywood, go to California, go to wherever big stuff is happening. I mean, Atlanta kind of works too.
Yep.
New York, if you want to work in TV.
Right.
But if you're talking about movie making, cinema, go to LA.
Yep.
Go to Atlanta. That's where Pinewood Studios is in Atlanta. And then obviously every other big studio out in Hollywood. So the traditional move is go to Hollywood and get someone's coffee. Like just whatever you can do to get on a set, get people talk about, like when I was at school, we were taught things even like, examples of people. I went and I worked as a PA and I got such and such coffee, and you express what it is you're interested in doing. They know you're not there to get their coffee.
Yeah.
So you communicate that. Like they'll ask you, like, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do? So you take that opportunity, you tell them, I want to be a cinematographer, or I want to be a gaffer, or I want to be this. And then when opportunities arise for them to maybe give you small opportunities, faithful in the small things, get more, they'll give those to you. I'm talking about working at casting agencies. Like if you want to be like an actor, a lot of people started off, being someone who was in the casting agency. Like they worked for the agency casting, so they had to go through resumes and headshots and like all that stuff. Or for writers, people want to be writers. Being in the writer's room of a TV show is like gold, right? You can get in the room with a bunch of writers, you write this TV show.
Doing the thing you want.
Yeah, kind of or being a reader as like an entry-level position. Yeah. They read a bunch of scripts that come on their desk. They throw out the ones that they know that their boss doesn't want to see.
Yeah.
And they're trained on how to do that, I would imagine. So that's the traditional route. And then you labor in obscurity until you hopefully get a chance to move up the ladder.
Yeah, and it's about building relationships, right? Like people, like even at the biggest levels, like, we've talked about Christopher Nolan movies on here before, but like Nolan works with the same actors even across a lot of his films. And it's just like, it's no secret. You like working with the people you know and you trust and you enjoy spending time with.
And we're the same way, right? Like,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, we are the exact same way when we're on our small scale little short films and our YouTube channel and all that stuff.
It's like every set is almost, I don't want to say an audition or an interview, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it's like we might be testing you out on something or like seeing like, can you handle it? And that's just how life is. That's how you work anywhere. You work. I worked at Hobby Lobby, and it's like you can work at retail and they're still looking to see if you're capable to do more, or like if you're capable to do the job at hand and what skills you have to do it. So
that's, I would agree that's probably, the quote unquote traditional route that everyone, if like you want to make movies, that's
part of that is like they expect you're going to be dirt poor, you're going to be a weekend warrior, you're going to like slave away. It might take years. You're not going to have any money. It's hard.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the traditional way to do it.
Yep. And I would say, I have, I think we both have noticed some trends, but my training and education has been more through the YouTube space. And I am seeing a trend that it starts with equipment being more accessible, more affordable. I mean, if you're talking about a Red camera, which we've talked about before, you could almost say it's like the Apple of like cinema cameras. It's a standard, it's high quality. But it's certainly not like, I mean, it
comes with its own attachments like Apple. Like you have to kind of buy all the Red stuff.
They have their own ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a much better word. Didn't have to rub it in.
It's like, $10,000 plus for just the body of camera of that. You're not talking lenses. You're not talking any of those tools to make it work, rigging, anything like that. So what I'm saying is, camera companies are pushing the envelope on what is possible as far as releasing cameras that just anyone can buy. I mean, our Blackmagics come in at like $1,200 now, for a 4K, and then obviously they go upwards, especially you get into Ursas, which are more typically, professional
cinema. And what you talk about is like, what's the most professional grade? It's just like, what's Netflix approved right now? That's what I would just. Is your camera Netflix approved?
Right.
So, and those cameras are getting more and more affordable to like enter into a professional space. Like a Joe Schmo might have enough money to get a Netflix approved camera.
I mean, you can buy a used Ursa, 4.6K G2 or whatever for like $2,000 or something. Well, the higher end Blackmagic camera.
That could have been a car. That could have been a Mustang, and I wouldn't have known the difference.
But for $2,000 as opposed to like $10,000 for just the body of a Red.
Yeah. $8,000 difference.
Right. And I'm not
still considered cinema camera.
I like gear, but like also shoot with the camera that you have. I'm a big believer of that. But
always be creating no matter what you have.
I think the trend kind of starts there, and then YouTube. With the rise of YouTube, you can make content for free, get an audience, and then creators are getting paid. This is another huge thing for filmmakers, right? Quotations there. And I think we have a whole nother discussion about what's a filmmaker versus a content creator, or,
stay tuned for that.
So there's more to unpack there, but for filmmakers, I think the industry is changing a little bit. That has become the more, like, we're referring to it as traditional because there's these non-traditional methods. One specific case study that I have to present here, there's a YouTuber whose name is Danny Gerverts, okay?
Yes.
Based out of Philadelphia. Wanted to make a movie. Had a background in traditional cinematography, working on sets, being hired out by agencies, wrote a script, and then wanted to fundraise and make his movie. So he utilized his YouTube channel, brand sponsorships, and then, fundraise from his subscribers, like, hey, here's my GoFundMe. Granted, he had he was very respected in the YouTube space. Like he was known as like a true filmmaker in YouTube, not just like, hey, we're going to review this, keyboard today.
Yeah. And I'll try not to interrupt while you're telling the story too much, but I just want to do this little setup, which is that making a movie independently is there's any route you want to take. It's about where are you getting the money?
Yeah.
And like the more we've talked about things, the more it is just like, okay, where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from? And what he had is this very unique situation with a YouTube following where he knew the money was going to be able to come from this platform. And so it's like he became like a YouTube movie filmmaker, and you're like, whoa, that's so interesting. But keep going with what he did.
So he was leveraging the platform on multiple different levels. So we talked about his subscribers, brand sponsorships, so not just a video, but like, hey, to the companies that normally sponsor his videos, will you sponsor a movie and actually donate money to that? And some did. And then the other huge thing that he did is that he got Matty Hapoya, who is a Canadian-based filmmaking YouTuber, established in the space. I think I want to say 1 million subscribers, maybe 10. I'm not sure. No, 10 feels too much. I think it's just anyway. He's
got a good following.
Good following. Yeah. Again, highly regarded. Has all the money in the world from YouTube, and is getting bored with the typical YouTube thing, and was he was mentoring
who comes
Danny
knocking
Gerverts.
On his door.
Yep, and said, hey, would you be interested in executive producing this thing? So the gap that he had with fundraising and stuff.
Which means executive producing often means you're a money man.
Yeah. So he stepped in with the remaining finances to make it happen.
Which is crazy.
And, think about the win-win there, all the behind-the-scenes content and the education on YouTube. Filmmakers everywhere are watching these channels and how can they, make their
movies. And now this guy's actually making a movie.
Yeah.
His content now, so a little bit back to the content question, but now his content is flooding YouTube with real experiences from a real movie set because he has the money to hire the proper professionals.
Fast forward a little bit, they pulled it off it was a tight budget. Like it was I think it was like 215,000 somewhere in there.
Very possible.
Which if you know anything about
budget,
movie making, that's a tight budget.
That's low end.
And it was a very shootable, somewhat easy to produce script, all these things that helped them. It's killing it in festivals all over the world. He, is premiering it in, New York, Chicago, LA, Philadelphia, where they shot it and everything, for his subscribers, Toronto, because the executive producer was in Canada.
Wow.
Right. So just setting up premieres, they're getting attention from, what's the cinematographer for Joker came to one of the premieres.
Oh yeah.
They connected.
You told me that.
And also that the same guy who started Shot Deck, which is a widely regarded filmmaking tool.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying
popular.
it's like a very serious thing. It's very unique, but they were able to make it a reality.
Yeah, and that just goes to kind of like back up the hypothesis, I suppose, that it doesn't really matter how you get there. It's just a matter of what are the tools you have in front of you,
right?
And then how do you leverage those to get to your end goal?
Yeah.
If you've studied hard, you care about movies, you care about making them, you have a good script, and you're passionate about your craft, and you know what to do. Given the right opportunity, it's about finding the resources to get yourself to that opportunity. And that's what he did. He got it in festivals.
Yeah.
And now, if the movie would have sucked, it would have been terrible, he wouldn't be seeing the success.
Yeah.
But he obviously is a very talented person. And so now
this
he's
is
getting all kinds of attention.
Keep in mind, this is before distribution. So we'll see what happens.
Correct.
He may already have distribution, just hasn't come out and talking about it.
yet.
As far as I know, there has been no deal made yet, at least one that he's happy with,
Sure.
So curious to see how that plays out, where the whole YouTube filmmaking world is watching what happens here.
And that's part of the huge gamble, right, of making a film, and even something we've been talking about,
right,
is do you even fundraise and go out there and make the movie without the promise of distribution?
Yeah.
Because you're putting a lot of confidence in yourself to pull something off to get distribution.
Right.
The distribution is how you make your money. You know what I mean? So if you're spending all this money on a film, you had all these investors, if they're expecting any money back, if you don't get distribution, you're not going to get money back.
Right.
You're just not going to. And some movies, it takes years, and then they finally get distribution, and they finally make their profits back, and they're wiping their brow, and they're like, whew, we made it.
But that was a pretty big risk. I mean,
but it's a huge
$100,000 plus,
huge
maybe
risk.
millions of dollars risk.
Right. And so, and you can even have instances of we made a deal with the distribution company, but it was more of a handshake.
Yeah.
And then they're like, never mind, because they don't like your movie when it's done. That happens too.
We've heard of this case.
Yeah.
Before.
So and that's terrifying as well. So it's difficult. It's a gamble.
And here we are saying that we want to make movies. Which,
exactly.
By the way, has taken me years to come around to the idea of actually taking seriously. But let's talk about our approach and why we're crazy enough to think that maybe we can do this, and how are we planning to do so?
What are we doing right now? Yeah. So we'll talk about a little bit of just separating, I guess, the idea of doing a YouTube channel and doing short films and creating content and honing in on our skills versus going out and making a feature film with distribution.
Yeah.
So they're different things. So our approach with our company, with our business, is to serve our clients to the very best of our ability, make commercials, all that stuff. And then a percentage of what we make goes back into our company so that we have the money to do YouTube videos and when we want to and produce smaller short films. Or right now we're looking to finish up a movie trailer, a concept movie trailer that we're making. So stuff like that where we have the money then to do those things. And then we're also, our whole company is serving clients.
Yeah.
And that's how we're
And that's
paying.
why we've made the distinction film and video, right?
Right. But when it comes to actually making a movie.
Right.
We have just started exploring different options.
Yeah.
Do we do it by ourselves? We just try to fundraise the same way, what's his name, Danny?
Yeah.
Danny did, and just look to our resources, whatever those are, not a huge YouTube following or anything like that, but like, who do we know? What can we do? Or do we try to attach ourselves to someone? Do we try to get the script in front of somebody?
Yeah.
And I think what we found ourselves doing is exploring all of those avenues.
Yeah.
So first of all, we write screenplays. Like that's something we're currently doing. It's like writing screenplays. So
in fact, we have one written
and one on page 91 as we speak right now
of the first draft.
the first draft.
Yep.
So, and then we have another one in development that
Yeah.
Ethan and I are writing together.
Yeah.
So that's the first piece. Like the first piece of ever making something is you have to have something to make.
Yeah.
If you don't write something, if you don't have an idea, if you don't have a concept, like what are you doing trying to make a movie? You need to have that first.
And this is just
foremost.
to anyone who's even remotely considering getting into this. Everyone wants to come in. They want to be a director. They want to be a cinematographer. Those are like probably where most people start, and they end up somewhere feeling, oh, maybe producing is more my thing, or what does gaffing mean? Could I be a better gaffer than cinematographer?
Right.
But you have to all that's great. I don't want to discourage anybody, but if you actually want to make a movie or any idea, any creative idea, you've got to kind of put in the work to make sure you have a fleshed out idea,
a fleshed out good concept. Yeah, and you have to have a writer, or you have to have something written. Those are the unspoken heroes of even late night TV. I was just watching a documentary last night about Jimmy Fallon and just how we have all these writers who are doing all the work and working their butts off so that there even is these shows
to watch,
or these movies. And so that's the first step.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what we've been working on. That's what we've been working on.
And we know that. And we equally, I think you are open to getting on other people's sets as, an actor.
Yeah.
And I'm equally, open to going on other
DP
sets as a DP. But we know, if we want to make a movie, no one's going to just give us the opportunity to make a movie unless we have a movie that we want to make.
Yep.
And honestly, we're talking about a multiple year endeavor just to get one made. So it's it better be something that we're excited about.
Is it something you're passionate about? Is something you really want to pour yourself into?
What better way to do it than to write our own stuff?
Write it yourself.
So
yeah. And so that's what we've been doing. And then what we've started to do is explore first steps of, all right, what can we do to get the machine working for us to get this thing made? Setting up meetings, talking to people, contacts, whatnot, and whatever. So the script that we have done, we can talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a friend who has a connection over at Daily Wire, okay? And that friend is going to help us get the script that we have done in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all we know. As in, it could get in front of them and they could be like, yeah, we'll buy your script. And we're like, wait, we want to make it though. And they may be like, no way, get out of our face.
Right.
They could look at the script and be like,
at which
not
point we
at
have a choice. Do we sell off the script?
Right.
Or do we take our script somewhere else?
Right. Do you shop
Do we
it
have
around?
something of value that we are really passionate about making?
It all depends on what their offer is too. You could have the script sell for, they're like, we'll give you $1 million, at which case we're both like, boy, that sounds pretty good. and we're like, we have other movies we want to make. It's not like that's the only idea we have. So we're working on this other one right now. $1 million would go a long way towards making that.
Yeah.
Or a long way towards pushing our company to the next level, paying for employees or fixing issues that we have, whatever it is. So you have to decide, is this script worth continuing, as in, are we going to stand our ground? I'm making this no matter what.
Yeah.
So even if you tell me no, I'm going to go somewhere else, even though you might not get that opportunity again.
Right.
Or do you sell it? And then we also have, we've set up, hopefully just an opportunity with where I graduated from. So we went and talked to kind of the heads of Huntington University's
the producers there
department. And had a conversation with them. Went really well. They kind of told us what their goal is. They said that, even more so now than when we talked to them, their goal is to make films that were written by alumni, which is me. Yay!
Yeah.
Good news for us.
So it'd be crazy not to follow that up.
To try that, right? And they
also
are
knowing there's probably maybe less money involved with something
there's
like
less
that.
money. It's college. It's educational. It's not about making money.
Do we just want to make our first movie?
Yeah. And so like we're like, there's an opportunity there. They're being funded.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main issue is where are you getting your money from?
First of all, they're willing to have a conversation with us.
Yeah. So
which
already we're like, already we're like, yes, okay, it's something.
Yeah.
You know, something to go after. And so you have that conversation with them about the potential of making a film. Now, then we start to get into like, I want to act. Do I hold my ground on such a thing? You know, do I say like, they're like, they're like, yeah, let's make this, man. We're really happy with this script. And, you know, we'll do it on a $250,000 budget, like low budget filmmaking. Now let's start talking who we're going to cast. And I'm like, oh, I was thinking me. And they're like, oh no, that's not how we do things. So you kind of have
to, you know, be upfront with the things that you're looking for and just know, like, we're constantly talking like, okay, if this plays out, you know, what's our move? Is it worth it to us to
thinking ahead
to settle or to, you know, whatever. So another way of that we're thinking about this is to shoot a trailer or like 10 pages of
something to give you a little
concept,
a little snippet of what the film will feel like, and do it to the highest level.
We can do is shop that around with the finished script, like the full script for a feature. Go after distribution. Maybe that will help with fundraising.
So you can go directly to distribution companies. There are conferences, events where distribution is there, and you have the opportunity to pitch. So taking every opportunity we could to basically go and get our idea in front of distribution until somebody, if possible, was like, I like it.
Yeah.
In which case we can say, if the movie turns out as well as what we've shown you here today, as well as the script says it will, you know, will you then, you know, distribute the film? And they say yes.
Yeah.
Then you have at least an agreement. Now you can go out and start raising money with the intent of when the movie's made, you have distribution, you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
And then you can give that money back to your investors. But it's always a risk. You could get distribution and they predicted your numbers. They'll always have a number prediction. These distribution companies do not take your movie on unless they are almost 100% certain they're going to make a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
So they'll tell you the numbers, or at least they might, or they'll know the numbers, and they'll be like, yes, it's worth it. It's like worth the investment, or it's not.
They're running the numbers in their head.
Or it's not. So
because they got to make money too.
Yeah,
that's just the way the world
business.
works.
It's business, capitalism. So that's another thing you run into, and then you're waiting to see if at the end of it you make the movie. Then you're hoping that they still consider it good enough that they distribute it and that you make your money back so you can pay your investors back. If it goes poorly, then you can't pay your investors back. You're in the hole. You just wasted $250,000 of other people's money.
Yeah.
So that's where like the fear comes in. Or you talk about like, can we get distribution by just raising the money? We don't even go after distribution yet. We have a finished film. This is how a lot of people do it. Finished film, it's polished, it's great. We're really proud of it. Then we go out to distribution and say, we have a movie. You want it?
You want it, yeah.
And it's done. There's no risk for them. They're seeing the product.
Yeah.
The problem for us is it's way higher risk because if you don't get a deal with distribution, once again, you've spent all that money from investors and you're not seeing it back. So now that's not to say that if it didn't happen right away that you can't go back, maybe reshoot a few things, tighten things up, try again.
Yeah.
Or someone, you find a new person you hadn't talked to yet. Someone could blow up, like someone in your movie, an actor could like suddenly get big like a couple years later, and that could be the reason you get distribution. You don't know what's going to happen. That's why it's so difficult and so hard. But we're exploring all of these things.
Yeah, and I mean, you can hear there's all kinds of ways into it, and I think that's what we kind of wanted to talk about today is the ways that we've seen as plausible paths into making a movie. And then also kind of give you kind of the inside scoop if you're listening or watching the podcast of how we're kind of approaching these.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully you can kind of see as things progress, which way worked, which way definitely didn't work.
Yeah.
And I imagine, you know, we there'll be tons of learning for us along the way.
And we're just, you know, we're just excited to learn, to try, to figure it out. Like for me, I just want to make a movie.
Yeah.
And ultimately it's kind of like however that happens.
Yeah.
Like we have an opportunity through Huntington University. If it happens that way, we get to make a movie. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to have a great time doing that. If we have to do it on our own and we go after it that way. We get distribution. Like, how exciting would that be? We get to make it. Like, that'd be great. You know, like, there are different pros. We've talked to the pros and cons of each thing and how, like, you know, even if we got an opportunity at Daily Wire, all of a sudden, you know, like, we have kind of this triangle of options, and we're just kind of like, hopefully one of them sticks, and if not, you keep grinding.
Yep. And keep practicing our craft so that hopefully we have the opportunity to make it someday.
So anyway, maybe that didn't help you at all with how to make it. Maybe someday this will be great advice. Who knows? But we just kind of wanted to take you along for the ride and pull back the curtain a little bit on our process and like what we've been talking about with it. And
if we want to make movies, like, oh, that's great, you guys, like, you run this little YouTube channel, like, how are you going about making a movie? Well, now you know.
Now you know where we're at as of Wednesday, February 7th.
Yeah, crazy.
2024.
The day Ethan got pulled over and got a ticket.
Ethan had a rough morning.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and tuning into this episode of the Mark Rodney Show.
Woo!
We hope you had fun. See you next time.